Okay, class, let's work some exercises from Chapter 12. This chapter is very important because we are learning to allocate overhead. Okay? Now, in this exercise, they give us 4 months worth of data. We'd like to have a year's worth of estimates to set a predetermined overhead rate, but that's what we need to learn to do first. We are going to develop a predetermined overhead rate to come up with a way to allocate our indirect overhead costs. So our indirect overhead costs are costs that we can't see in the finished product. Okay? The utilities. The utilities are necessary to operate the equipment in the factory, but we can't see them in the finished product. They're indirect. They're necessary, but we can't see how much each product absorbed of them, of utilities. So we are going to create a predetermined overhead rate for all of our items that are like that. Now our problem says that we expect to incur $80,000 a month. Here's the problem. The problem is that our production jumps around a lot, so we wouldn't want to divide 80,000 by 6,000 one month and 3,000 another month. That wouldn't be a realistic view of how much it costs to make a unit. So we want to come up with an overarching amount. Okay, so let's do it this way. We've only got 4 months of data, but if I add these up, 6,000 plus 7,000 plus 3,000 plus 4,000, 7, 14, 20,000 units over 4 months. Okay, and I'll incur 80,000 times 4. Okay, so I'll incur $320,000 worth of overhead across those 4 months, and let's divide that by 20,000 units. Always put your dollar signs on the numbers that are dollars so that you know what you're dividing. Okay? So that would be 32 divided by 2. That would be $16 per unit would be our predetermined overhead rate. Okay? So that's the answer to A. B, allocate overhead costs to each month using the overhead rate computed in requirement A. Okay, well, January, we would have 6,000 times $16 is what we would do to allocate. $6,000 times 16 would work out to be $96,000. Okay, February, we would have 7,000 times $16, so we would allocate $112,000 to February. Okay, see how that works? And then when we get to all of these, if we add those months back up, okay, if we add those months back up, we will see that it adds up to $320,000. Okay? Now, let's figure up our total cost for a unit. Okay? Well, let's see. The problem tells us that our variable costs, our direct costs, are $12 a unit. Okay? So, for example, the way that works is I would have 96,000 in indirect cost in January, and I would have 6,000 times $12 in variable costs. That would work out to be 72,000. So our total cost for January would be 168. Divide that by 6,000 units, and it works out to be $28 per unit. If I continue doing that for each month, you will see that it always works out to be $28 a unit because of the way we figured the overhead across all 4 months of information. Let's look at another problem. Okay, let's look at 12-5 and talk about cost pools. Cost pools are very important because if we develop cost pools, we can make a much better allocation of our overhead than if we just dump everything into one overhead account, because different types of overhead have different kinds of drivers. Okay? So this problem asks us to organize the costs into indirect materials, indirect labor, and indirect utilities. Okay? Indirect material, indirect labor, and utilities, by definition, is indirect, right? Let's see, we can just mark these out to the side of them. Let's do it that way. All right, vacation pay. Well, vacation pay goes along with people and time, right? So that would be an example of indirect labor. Okay, the sewer bill, that sounds like it's a part of utilities. Okay, staples. That sounds like a material that is too hard to track by each unit, so we just put it into an indirect materials account. The natural gas bill, that one is pretty obviously a part of utilities. Pens. Okay, again, we've got pens. They're going to last a while. We're going to be able to write on lots of things across the production process. So that would have to go in with indirect materials. The same with ink cartridges. That's obviously a material that would be hard to attach to a particular product. Let's see, payroll taxes. Well, payroll taxes are going to move right along with how much people are paid. So that would be a part of the indirect labor pool. Paper rolls for cash registers. Yeah, again, if you have, it's hard to figure it up on a per unit basis, but it's certainly a cost of the business, so that would be a part of indirect material. Medical insurance is a part of compensation, so that would go along with indirect labor. Salaries of secretaries, that would be indirect labor because they are not working on the exact units that are being made. And the water bill sounds like utilities again. Okay? Now, identify an appropriate cost driver for each pool. Well, it looks like most of these materials are about office stuff. So maybe the selling process, okay? That would be an example of indirect materials. Selling activity would be driving that, or general and administrative activities would be driving that. Okay, indirect labor, the driver would be, on indirect labor, the driver would be time or wages. Okay, time worked or wages paid would drive your labor cost, okay, your indirect labor. utilities, the driver for utilities, if we were thinking about the factory, it would be the volume of production because equipment would be used more, okay? Volume of production might be a good one for that. And again, why would we use cost pools? It's so that we could allocate on a better way than just trying to lump everything together and just smushing it out evenly across all of the units that were produced. Okay, super. You have fun with the exercises from Chapter 12.